Come with us as we take Archie on a little field trip to Lowe's. Taking your dog to Lowe's, which is nationally a dog-friendly store, can be a great way to help socialize them and also practice some of your basic obedience with your dog. So, part of the 3Ds we like to say to add to dogs once they know some basic obedience is we like to add some distance, some distraction, and some duration. So taking them out to a public place, first thing you want to do is really just let them take it all in, help get them settled. It's going to be a lot of new things. Of course, Archie's been on a handful of field trips, but every time is a little different, especially with a young dog like this. So as you can see here, we have somebody coming in with a loud cart. He was a little cautious at first, but then his tail starts wagging. He was very happy. Here we are just kind of keeping him under control and put him in a little sit-stay. There was actually another dog that was walking by who was not nearly as well-behaved as Archie, who is a bit reactive to dogs. And so they had to really kind of contain him, but we had Archie sit in a nice stay, a nice sit, and Jane's here just working with him, practicing, short distance sit and stays. And of course, it's a new environment. There's a lot to take in. So while he does great with this at home, it took a little bit longer to sort of get his focus, to get him to hold this command for a little bit more duration. And that's part of the key, is just keep on practicing little short bursts. And there you go, nice little reward when you release them. And with Archie, the release word is okay. And we don't have any of the sound on for the background of this video because there's so many different songs playing when you're at Lowe's that it would trip the music usage problems with TikTok here. So I had to silence all the background music. But we were at a time when it was relatively quiet in the evening here at Lowe's, so there wasn't a lot of traffic going on. But it's just a great place to just practice in a new environment. Of course, when you take your dog to a public place and store, you want to have a reasonable amount of confidence that they're going to be well behaved before you go in. And also, you definitely want to make sure that they've gone potty before you go into a store. There's nothing more embarrassing and nothing really more disrespectful than having your dog go potty inside of a public place like this. Of course, Lowe's is pretty good about dealing with things like this because they regularly have dogs into their stores, but you should really be a considerate dog owner and make sure that they've fully gone potty before you go into a store. Take them for a nice walk just before you go in and make sure they've got nothing hanging on there. Try not to spend too much time when we go into stores as well. Sometimes you might have been in there for a half an hour and they just can't hold it any longer, and there's not going to be close to a door like it is when you're at home, especially with a young puppy. Those are some of the tips for traveling to public places. But a lot of what we do here with our dogs in our training program is this is what we call public access work. So any service dog needs to really be trained to go out in public and have good manners. Some of those things are just reinforced at home about being good. You can practice in other places that aren't in a store first, naturally. But, you want to graduate to at least get them used to going in and out of some public places if you're going to have a started, service dog training, things like that. And it's just good training for any dog. Any dog should be able to go out into some public spaces and be reasonably well behaved. But a lot of that comes with just socializing them, getting used to that, and then reinforcing their good manners and habits. Some dogs are just in their DNA. They're going to have a very difficult time with situations like this. But, we try to really focus our breeding program on making sure that we breed dogs that have stable temperaments that are, predisposed to being okay with these kinds of things. And of course, every dog's going to handle it a little bit differently, but part of that, getting them there is just practicing, taking them out, short bursts, making it a fun experience for them, and keeping them under control. And the best way to keep them under control is to work with some basic obedience. Give them a job to do so that they can focus on you a little more than focusing on their surroundings. So Jane here, of course, we've been in the store now for, probably 10 minutes or so. And actually, when we first started practicing a little sit and stays, Archie was breaking it a little earlier than typically he would do when we're in other places. So after about 10 minutes of settling in, he was doing great. And of course, we were able to get the duration of his basic obedience and commands, a little sit stay, up a little bit longer. And then here we go. Now we've added a little more distance to this sit and stay. And you'll see Jane here is actually giving him little reminders, tell him when he starts to break her. His body language says like he's about to perhaps try to come over to her. And so we're working in very small bites, very small increments, and try to end on a positive note. So, it was working out just really well. So after about 15 minutes of being in the store or so, he was doing great. We could put him in a sit and a stay and take a few steps away and have a lot of confidence that he's going to, hold on to that command and not break it, not go chasing after something else in the store. You got to be cautious when you do these kinds of things. You can't just, do it, maybe when it's the busiest time of a store. That can be a lot to take in. The best thing to do if it's a little busier, just take some treats with you, make it just a fun, positive experience for your dog instead of focusing too much on, making the basic obedience rock solid. But these are the kinds of things that Archie here, he's focused, he's been given treats, he wants to work with Jane, and so he's got a good attention span, so to speak. Even though he's young, he's barely 4 months old right now. He's just over 3 months old. He's doing great, though. And then at this point in the evening, we had been there for, probably 25 minutes or so. I had to do a little shopping. Archie is probably getting close to hitting the saturation point where we've worked with him enough to where, holding his attention is waning, so to speak. So, but he's doing really good here. Worked with it just a little bit more. You'll see, his attention is not laser focused on Jane, but he's a pretty calm, pretty easygoing boy. He's naturally just pretty chill. But I'll see here in just a moment. We're going to start heading off and taking a ride back to the checkout station, but Jane is working on, really keeping him in that stay when she turns her back. And then here he started to break it, so she gives him a little correction, tells him, puts him back into the sit. Let's see if he does it. And right here is about where I figure he kind of is hitting the saturation point. He's mental overload, so to speak, where he's done this repetitions enough. And so let's not push it. We don't want to keep on pushing through that, because when a dog's not having fun training anymore, it's time to stop and just relax and go on to other things. So heading back to the checkout here, we go up, and then as we're at the checkout, of course, we have somebody that wants to see Archie, and he just loves a little bit of loving, and he did a great job at that. And then off to the parking lot we go. Archie does great on leash, and looking forward to the next time we go back.